The NBA has always been a league defined by eras. Magic and Bird saved it, Jordan globalized it, LeBron extended it, Steph changed how it's played, but now the league is entering something different. Something that might be less of an evolution and more of a disruption, because the NBA has a Victor Wembanyama problem. He might already be too good, too unique, too impossible to replicate or defend in a traditional way. And when one player breaks the logic of the sport, the entire league has to adjust. The entire league. Think about what Wembanyama actually is. He's basically a 7'4" player with an 8-foot wingspan, but he moves like a point guard, shoots like a wing, protects the rim like a generational center, and handles the ball like someone 6 inches shorter. Players aren't supposed to be built like this. Historically, guys his size were either dominant inside or limited outside. There was always a trade-off. With Wembanyama, that trade-off barely exists. And that's where the problem starts. Because the NBA is built on balance. Offense versus defense. Size versus speed. Skill versus athleticism. Every era has some dominant players, but they still fit within the structure of the game. Wembanyama doesn't fully fit inside that structure. He bends it. When he's on defense, he erases shots that should be open. Guards think they've beaten their man. They get into the lane, and suddenly, there's an arm that seems to be coming from out of nowhere. It's not just blocks, it's the fear of getting blocked. That alone changes how teams attack. And on an offense, it's even more confusing. You can't guard him with a traditional big because he'll stretch them out to the perimeter. You can't put a smaller defender on him because he'll just shoot over them like they're not even there. Double teams don't work consistently because he can pass out of them. It creates a situation where there isn't a correct defensive answer. That's rare. Even players like Shaq, there was a formula. Just foul him. Pack the paint. With Stephen Curry, you could trap him and force the ball out of his hands. With LeBron James, you built walls and dared others to beat you. Every superstar had a strategy. With Wembanyama, teams are still guessing, and that guessing leads to inconsistency across the league. Some teams try to go small and fast, others try to go big and physical, but neither approach fully works. It creates a ripple effect where roster construction starts to shift in uncertain ways. Now think about the long-term impact. If Wembanyama becomes what he's projected to be, a perennial MVP level player, the San Antonio Spurs are going to build everything around him. And if that system proves unstoppable, other teams will try to copy it. But here's the issue. You can't copy Wembanyama. There isn't another version of him. So now teams are chasing something they can't replicate. That creates imbalance. We've seen this before in smaller ways. After Steph Curry, everyone wanted shooters. After the Warriors dynasty, everyone wanted space and pace. But those trends were at least somewhat achievable. You can draft shooters. You can develop spacing. You can't develop a 7'4" player with guard skills and elite defense. That's not a system. That's a once-in-a-generation player. And when one team has that player, it forces the rest of the league into an uncomfortable decision. Do you rebuild and hope to find your own unicorn? Do you try to out the team with the depth? Do you just wait and hope injuries or time slow him down? None of those are great options. There's also the entertainment side of this. The NBA thrives on competition. Fans want rivalries, close games, unpredictability. But if Wembanyama reaches his ceiling, there's a real possibility of dominance that feels almost inevitable. Not because his team is stacked, but because he alone shifts the math of the game. A simple possession changes when he's on the court. Shots that are normally efficient become low percentage shots. Defensive schemes that usually work suddenly collapse. It's like playing a different version of basketball, and that can be both amazing and problematic. Amazing because you're watching something we've never seen before. Problematic because it can reduce the variety of outcomes. If one player dedicates the game that heavily, it risks making the league feel predictable. Another layer to this is player development. Young prospects are already being compared to Wembanyama. Tall players are being pushed to handle the ball more, shoot more, play differently. And while that can be good for skill development, it also can create unrealistic expectations. Not every 7-footer is supposed to play like a guard. Not every team should build around that idea. But when someone like Wembanyama exists, it shifts the standard, and that standard might not be sustainable. There's also the physical side. Players his size historically deal with injuries. That's just how it is. The league is going to have to manage his workload carefully. But even if he stays healthy, the way he moves and plays puts unique stress on his body. So now the NBA has another challenge. How do you protect a player who is this valuable, this unique, without limiting what makes him special? Because if you limit him, you lose that spectacle. But if you don't, you risk burnout or injury. That balance isn't easy. And let's talk about the defense league-wide. The NBA has already been struggling to balance offense and defense. Scoring is up, rules favor offensive players, and spacing has made it hard to guard. Now add Wembanyama to that equation. He's one of the few players who can actually tilt things back towards defense, but he does it in a way that's so extreme. It might force rule discussions down to the line. If he becomes too dominant defensively, the league might eventually look at ways to adjust, just like they've done in the past with other dominant players. That's how impactful Victor Wembanyama could be. So when people say the NBA has a Victor Wembanyama problem, it's not criticism, it's recognition. The league has a player who doesn't just excel within the system, he challenges the system itself. And historically, whenever that happens, the league has to evolve. The question is how. Do teams adapt and find creative ways to compete? Does the league adjust rules to maintain balance? Or does Wembanyama simply usher in a new era where this level of versatility becomes the new norm? Right now, we don't have the answers, but what we do know is this. Players like Victor Wembanyama don't come around often. And when they do, they don't just change games, they change leagues. They change history. And that's why the NBA doesn't just have a superstar on its hands. It has a problem. And the Spurs, they're doing a very good job building around Wembanyama. They have their draft picks, they have young talent, and they have depth. But because how good the Thunder are right now, the Spurs are not that far away from the Thunder. Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, Vassell, they have so many young players, and Victor Wembanyama is also one of those young players. It's just he's getting called the MVP of the league at such a young age. That just screams future Hall of Famer. That just screams the future GOAT of the NBA, one of the greatest of all time. And Victor Wembanyama will probably go down as one of the greatest centers of all time. If not that, he will probably become one of the greatest players of all time, period. He has the ability to score like a guard. He has the ability to move like a guard. He has the ability to defend like an all-timer. All this at such a young age, and 7'4" with an 8-foot wingspan is just ridiculous. Let me know what other players you guys want to see me talk about, and I'll see you guys in the very next video.